by the way, never got to talk about the last season of GOT. Oh, God, last season of GOT. Okay. So, I mean, you could tell too soon. You could tell from jump that was going to be a rough last season, and I remember every episode at the end, even me and Steph being like, I feel like I'm supposed to like what I just saw, but I don't. You know, like, and it's not whatever subvert expectation, whatever it is. It just nothing was doing what you thought it was gonna do. Nothing felt big. Everything just was like flying along. I mean, the long night really was not that great. Like, you know, for all the things we've seen, to have like the Battle of the Bastards and, you know, the one where they stormed the Red Keep and all that. Like, I am mind blown that's what we ended up with. Really, I really am. Like, you know, that final battle, which you could barely see stuff, and it felt rushed. Hate everything except for Clegane. I didn't even like Clegane. I thought that was pretty shoddy. Like, it didn't even look that good. You know, like, it didn't. You know, for them to be fighting in a hallway, and then to have the awkwardness of like, so here's this character that we've built up again because we don't want to hire other actors. We made this sciencey guy, you know, important. We're just gonna kill him. He's gonna walk up where he's dead. It's like, really, that's how he goes, and then you let Cersei walk by, and it just didn't make sense to me. It was like everything was doing what it could to try to feel big, and nothing did it. Nothing felt big. Nothing felt important. You know, obviously, you know, again, you know, people were like, oh, her natural trajectory to being whatever she became. If you paid attention, this is what she would have been. Yeah, I agree. But not from, like, instant, like, oh, okay, we're going to just change her completely now. You know, like, it just sucked, man. It's all of it, you know. I like the idea. Oh, no, the idea of it for sure. I mean, we all wanted Clegane. I mean, I wanted that from the beginning. But I thought it would be like a, you know, maybe they fight, you know, through a bunch of things. And they act as, like, wrecking balls through, like, a, you know, just something that felt big, like real big, like important big, not like fake big, you know? I just really wanted something that felt as big as other things did. Like, you're in the last season of what used to be considered one of the best shows on television. I mean, there are seasons of that show, I say this all the time, like, I don't tell people not to watch it. There are seasons of that show that are literally something you should always, like, I would tell people tomorrow, yes, watch that show. Because there are seasons that are phenomenal in that show, you know? Like, phenomenal. And to just have this weak ending is just, it's crazy to me, you know? It's crazy to me. Stun block, reflex 40, you know that. I had problems the last 2 seasons. Yeah, no, everybody knows this. Once they moved off of the books, everything changed. Like, and you can't really say, yeah, plot armor is ridiculous. And they even said that. So the guy who directed the Long Night episode was like, yeah, I want to kill everybody right from the jump because I think that's what we should do. And they were like, no. And it's like, but that's what you've always done. You've always, you know, made it so we didn't really know who was going to live and who was going to die. And at some point in time, they just stopped doing that. I mean, the Red Wedding, for the people who read the books, obviously knew it was coming. But for the show, it's like they didn't know when and where to just, like, kill people off for no reason. And, you know, again, I with the whole season, my number one thing that I think is the biggest disappointment wasn't even the end of the show. It was the White Walkers. It was the entire thing of the White Walkers. It was the way that they were killed. I mean, people were like, oh, Arya, blah, blah. No, that was, in my opinion, no. It was not the way it should have went down in any way, shape, or form. I think it was a waste. I think it was just boring, a boring end. And, you know, we saw these guys, these walkers, this fabled army of whatever, and all that really fought was the skeletons of the dead. But what the hell was the point of all of those White Walkers if they did nothing? They did, yeah, that could be Buck Squad. Like, none of those, I mean, look back the whole show. Those guys, except for, like, maybe Hardhome, they did nothing, you know? We should have stopped watching after you. Steph specifically turned to me and was like, I just want to stop watching right now. I feel like that's the end. And she's been saying since the beginning, she was like, I really wish that's where I stopped. I wish I stopped watching there, because that is, that would have been possibly a good ending. I don't know. I definitely didn't. I didn't like it. I just. I don't know. It could have been better. Plus, again, have those guys, these generals or whatever, just walking around and doing that whole last. It's hard to even talk about because it was so bad. It's fucking Game of Thrones. Like, how do you fuck up Game of Thrones? Like, that's just, you have to really want to fuck up Game of Thrones for how well it's probably written, how, much stuff could have been used. They had to have just been like, oh, we got this, Star Wars gig now, so I guess we're gonna, I guess we're just gonna drop all of the other shit. And I don't know, man. I wish I had a better, I don't know. I think the White Walkers, of all of it, everybody's talking about whatever they want to talk about. I think the White Walkers are the biggest disappointment of the entire last season. Out of everything. The ending, Arya, whatever. Or the ending, or all, it doesn't matter. That was by far the end. Hey, at least one of those workers brought the big chain to... Yeah, don't even get me started on that shit. I talk about that all the time. I was like, I thought these guys couldn't even get in the water, so how'd they hook up that fucking dragon to the big chain, Yeah, I just don't get, what was the point of all of it? And that's why I actually want the book to come out, and I want Steph to tell me, like, what happens, because I feel like those guys are just destined to do something else, Huge problem because they were so badass in the books and what they did to the Golden Company. Yeah, for sure. Again, I don't know if that was on purpose, and I don't know if in the books that's what they did. Like, the whole point is that the Golden Company comes in as this big army, and they wipe them out, like, systemically, like, just they fuck them up in the book, but it feels bigger and more important because it's like, holy shit, they wreck shop. But in the show, it was just like, oh, here's the Golden Company, here's Mr. Khaki Pants, all right, goodbye. Like, in a show, you can't do that. That's the whole thing. They say what's different between television and movies is that you get to build up these moments. In the books, the Golden Army already took a stronghold in Westeros. See, it's like they rolled up and they're like, hey, guess what? We're gonna do a battle here, and we're done. And also the joke. I mean, I made the joke as soon as it happened, and other people have for other things, including. Oh, yeah, Manny just upped and left. Maybe he's back. I don't know. I can't tell. But the not having the dire wolves and all that, even though you heard there was, I just read the other day that there was a dire wolf battle plan that got scrapped, hearing all that, it's like, we deserve that. Like, to make everybody wait another year almost for the final season of Game of Thrones, to not get, to know that there was all this big epic shit that was planned that didn't happen, and to not get the dire wolves, an 80 dire wolf battle of all these, like, to hear that we didn't get that, but we got the rest of that bullshit is just, it's disappointing. It's like, why'd you give us that? Like, why we didn't, obviously you didn't focus on the shit that people wanted to see, And then that's gotta make the people who are giving them the Star Wars movie nervous, or the Star Wars world nervous, because, like, the moment they took it over just doing it their own way is where things fell apart. It's 100% where things started changing. It's where things started just kind of, going in a way that people did not want to, didn't enjoy it anymore. Oh, God, the symbolism of the... I think somebody used to work with named Brittany looked up, she was like, I'm looking up how smart dragons are, because how did the dragon even know what the fuck a Iron Throne was? Like, to him, that should have been just a big anything. It could have been anything, Like, to him, there's no way he knew that that was a throne, And if he is that fucking smart, then it doesn't explain all the other shit that's happened. Oh, God. I just get so angry when I think about it, man. That show was, it cemented Breaking Bad as the best show of all time. Which I'm fine with because, I love Breaking Bad. But, like, I don't know. I'd say it rivals Lost in the biggest disappointment of a show by the end.